calling the meeting to order. First up is public comment. All right, hearing none. We're going, instead of going to new business on major street fund, we're going to continue on the general fund. I think we left off on the city commission, the expenses. Steve's not coming, I guess.
Let's see. City Commission, the big expense in the City Commission is retiree benefits and the MERS, all for the general fund come out of the City Commission.
Our retirement benefits have gone down. Somebody beyond their limit on that, or?
Yeah, we lost Kathy Pepin and.
We've lost a few.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Be losing.
The next couple years, you're going to see that going down a little bit, but then we're going to be picking up a few. So, but I think we're going to be going on the downward trend with some of the old retirees falling off, either hitting their 10-year mark or hitting 65.
Do you anticipate it going down by that larger percentage every year? I mean, it's about 40%.
The next 2 years, I believe it is, we have about 3 or 4 people coming off, and then it's going to slow down for a little while. Yeah, the downward direction.
So that's quite a bit to offset the MERS fund benefit.
Right, when you look at the two, yeah.
Yep.
MERS went up a little bit, but still.
Was this 317,000? Is that the total hit to the general fund from MERS?
No.
Except for that.
Retirees.
Yeah, that is the
Okay.
retirees. The other portion is the active and the public safety.
There's a large reduction in contracted services. Is that what you're anticipating this year?
Yes. Contracted services. Yeah, we have, that's for the meetings with charter that we pay. There was a reduction because with going with the new website too, because we do send out some stuff to Flowline Media to do for us to put that on our website. Going with this other website design, that like loading the videos on there and some other posting like the minutes and the agendas. We pay for some of those services. That's going to be included in the website redesign as part of the.
Well, that's good.
Yeah,
That's
so
nice.
it's
Savings.
by going to the redesign, it's offsetting some costs we're paying out to other ones. So.
Did you check to see how much it would cost to live video to have that channel?
Yeah, we asked. I didn't get a number back yet. Adam and I had talked, and then he had forwarded it to his boss. We didn't, back 4 or 5 years ago, it was $14,000 to get a live,
Channel.
and that's just
Right,
that's just
channel.
with charter. No offense, Adam, but just with charter, and at the time, even then, it was, well, how many people have charter? How many people have Dish? You're not. What are you getting? And we're directing people to our website to use that as a tool. They even looked into ways to do, even with him recording, to do like live streaming, like right to the website and stuff. So maybe that might be a better avenue to spend rather than $14,000. Granted, it would be a dedicated, where we could put things on it, but I don't know. It was $14,000 that 20 years ago, I'm sure it's at least that much, not a little bit more. So I don't have that figure.
No, just want to know.
Right, no, inquired, so if I get that, I'll let you know, but.
And the health insurance doubled? City manager, just,
Which one? I'm sorry.
I guess I skipped,
Budgeting, you're in the city manager account line item,
Oh,
and they
yeah.
budgeted for a full plan,
Oh.
not enough.
I know, I'm like, where's
Where-
health insurance in here?
oh, sorry.
So
I
under
was
city
just going
commission.
down to the bottom, I'm sorry. I just-
There's a couple other things in city commission before
Okay.
we go down to city manager. We did leave the $6,100 for the school and public library funding, so we did leave that in there. And then go down towards the bottom. Pilt Housing Commission and Pilt Thorntree. That is the offset, there's offsetting revenue. So the net to those is what the city brings in, which isn't very much. That is kind of like the trailer park tax where they pay a lesser fee. It's kind of like a payment in lieu of taxes. And I believe it's because they are considered low income.
So, I guess, explain that to me, the housing commission, that's really not part of the city,
No.
That'd be Bayview and Fairview Manor.
Mhm.
so we pay them $17,000.
We also
for-
take in,
There's offsetting revenue. So there's $17,000 in expense because because we take in the revenue, you have to have the offsetting expense because I have to disperse it to the schools and the county and it's like a tax. So,
For the housing commission, it's 23,900 in income, and for Thorntree, it's 14,500. Just fine, just saw it.
thank
So
you,
I thought
Assistant Treasurer.
A lovely assistant.
I do love that aspect of you. And then the other, keep moving down, the other new item is the $100,000 transfer to the pension fund. So those are the big items in that.
there was a mistake. Was that on the 4th of July? We transfer, how much do we transfer from Mary Creedman's?
30,000.
30,000, and it only lists 5,000 here as expense, so there's 25,000 we're gonna have to correct.
So that should be 30,000?
Yeah.
Mhm.
No red, white, and blue this year?
Not unless the DDA hasn't indicated they wanted to do that, so.
Any questions on the city commission? City manager, Kim and I kind of put together. We kept the pay at what the previous city manager was at. We weren't quite, we don't know what exactly it will be, but that's kind of on, we figured that would be kind of on the high end. And I did, to answer your question about health insurance, I budgeted for full health insurance. The previous city manager was an opt-out, so she was, less. So we thought that this person probably is going to require full health insurance. So we put in that amount for full health insurance. And then the defined contribution amount reflects that 85,000.
And I'm not making $112,000. That's Darla's buyout and salaries and whatever.
I was like, what?
I just noticed that whole thing.
Yeah.
That's pretty much the only things we should note in there. Everything else is pretty much the same. Elections?
Elections. So, it should be a slower year for elections, than it was this past year, as I indicated before. November, no offense, but a commissioner, you know, city election commission is usually a smaller election, but still the same setup. I did in here too, this is actually budgeting for 2 elections, because you have to think when it goes through the fiscal year, March, the election cycle still, you know, could happen if somebody put a proposal on there or not. March is too far out. Like right now, I talked to the county clerk and we don't see anything coming for the other ones. It still should be good, but March, you never know. I never know, so I do kind of budget for that one. But obviously, if it doesn't happen, you know, then that's just money saved. But, and that's for the 3 precincts. The other thing in here, big item would be, as you see under the capital outlay, the state didn't release purchase of the new election equipment this fiscal year like they were hoping. They put it out for a rebid, so it pushed everything back. They have now selected 3 vendors, so we're just waiting on the release of that, and the counties actually get to decide which equipment each county is going to go with. So the purchase will happen now in this new fiscal year, and then with that, they'll all have training and get that ready to roll out, hopefully for the November election. But there again, too, it's kind of assigned when you're going to get to roll it out on the year of the election.
So this year it said there was 4,000 spent in capital outlay, or what is that?
Correct, because those the laptops
Laptops.
in that, because the state won't buy those that have a grant, that I did get the laptops through, that's called the electronic poll book program. We didn't buy those laptops before. Those were free through the state. That program doesn't run when they die, they die. And one did die, the other one's about to. So we purchased with that under this fiscal year. So there's a chance too, because we budgeted what the state told us to, and the state is kicking in a lot of money for the election equipment. So we're not getting the full hit with that. They told us $3,000 per precinct. There's a chance it could come in a little bit less than that even. So as soon as I know, I can let you know. So that's the elections.
City assessor, looks like everything's gonna be about the same.
She's under contract.
No postage?
She runs that through on the clerk side, so
Okay,
when you
so
see
that's
the
gone.
clerk's postage, yeah, everybody gets onto the clerk's.
I'm gonna say her payroll goes down.
Yeah, why is that?
She's under contract.
Goes by the number of parcels.
Oh, yes, that's right.
She's
Mhm.
doing less parcels.
Goes by what?
It
Goes
goes
by the
by
number of
number of
parcels.
parcels.
What was the contracted services that she had done?
Contracted services is,
She had to get something.
that's the AMARS
Oh, yeah.
mapping and stuff like that to get her certification. To get is it the roll certified or?
Not the role certified, but it was for the AMARS, part of that was a mapping component, and we didn't have that, so we had to pay to have that done, to meet that requirement, so that's something that we have to have.
Requirement, which is from the state.
Right.
The state.
The number of parcels has gone down.
The numbers she does in a year, is that how that works?
Mhm.
And that's true, because there's
We'll have to look
splits
at
and
her contract.
combinations, and
Yeah.
there's, with that, she'll do a good presentation at her eval with that, to how that whole formula works
I
out
can-
for the parcel count.
I
But it
can
does
double
fluctuate.
check with her on that amount.
Escanaba is trying to get her right now really hard, so. Yeah.
She got 100% on her AMAR.
There's a shortage of assessors right now.
Board of
She's
Review,
great.
yeah, she is great. Board of Review, reduced a little bit. Just from the activity, I believe.
Yeah, and that, I think we had talked about that actually probably needs to go back up to the 15, because what we forget about in February is there's March Board of Review that hits at the very end of this fiscal year. So, March Board of Review is going to happen, so the activity is gonna go up. And the previous manager had reduced it from 1,500 before, and you have the July, December, and March, you always have to have those quarter reviews, so. It should be 1,500.
Does that number need to change again?
It needs to go to the, it's gonna go to the 1,500 because with the 3 board members that we have, the March Board of Review needs to occur yet, so.
Printing and publishing go up too?
Printing and publishing, we didn't, it's zeroed out. I do their printing and publishing, so it's all within my budgeting under the clerk, just
Okay.
because I don't break it out over every, when it's the general fund to track
Yeah.
everybody's, when I'm doing the notice and stuff, so.
Next is the treasurer department, and I really didn't change anything. I kept the audit fees the same. Health insurance.
Just out of curiosity, the copier rental, it was $700 for this year, but it was $3,400.
I gotta look at that when we were putting the budgets
And I saw
together.
4,500 as a budget.
Yep, I budgeted 4,500. I have to take a look at that activity. I just haven't had a chance.
There's a couple others that would have been off, that goes by the counter and who puts the account number in and get that straightened out.
Computer maintenance is just our contract that we have with Big Smile Technologies. Education and training, I did lower that, because I did get my certification a couple years ago, so the training is only 3 days compared to a week. Transportation and lodging goes hand in hand with that. And that pretty much sums it up. Any questions so far on anything that we've covered? City clerk?
Yes, with mine, I do have an increase budgeted there for payroll, for my contract. And I do take the full health insurance, so cost you money there. Postage, if you look at, yes, that's postage. That, if I'm sending something out, whether, for whatever board or whatnot, it runs under mine, so that's kind of a moving target. And same thing with the copier rental, is high based on copy counts with the amount of packets and everything that we do, and stuff. So
It's necessary.
right. So those were some of the increased ones. You see under education and training, I do, like I had explained before, the clerk's training program. Initially, when you're getting certified, it is like the week-long institute. It's not once you get that. It is reduced down, like if you were saying, to 3 days. So you save a little bit there, but you'll see no activity. I will be doing activity, but that is actually the second to last week in March. So again, it's as close to the end of the fiscal year as it is, but so that will hit this fiscal year as well. So questions?
City Hall, if you look at last year, we had $45,000 budgeted for capital outlay, the tuck pointing, came in a lot cheaper. I don't know where the 40,000 for tuck pointing came, but there's a little bit more that needs to be done. The payroll and the materials and supplies and the repairs and maintenance numbers went a little over budget, but we just shifted some of the capital outlay, and we had a lot of the work we did in-house, like new microphones, and Dave did the wiring and stuff like that. So next year, capital outlay, we're looking at new windows, AC heater in the cashier's office, and finish the tuck pointing. Next up, cemetery administration. They got rid of that.
Cemetery admin and grounds maintenance were, the departments were combined the 16-17 fiscal year. So that's why there's no budget right there. You want to cover this, Kim?
Sure. This is the, when seasonals, the part-time, full-time, the actual labor for the burials is going in here. My time, none of that is charged there. All of mine is in the clerk's one. So you can see that. So pretty straightforward there. The big one, I'm sorry. Mm-hmm.
I see on there's under DPW benefits, there's
Mhm.
none budgeted this year, but it's been like 9,000 last year, 15,000 the year before.
I know, I'll have to look at that. We'll talk to Barry about that.
If you got a full-time Teamster, that'd be some benefits.
Right. Mm-hmm. I will look at that. Not sure why. Because he has down there, well, defined contribution, farther down he has budgeted. I'm not sure. I'll look at that. The big cemetery does get money through Dr. Mary Creighton's. We're very grateful for and able to do a lot of improvements up there. Continuing this year, which is budgeted for, the big thing will be a building up there. Those limited, equipment that they use up there. It'll have some water.
Is that in the capital outlay? line?
Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, for the 67,100.
What's
Finish a
gonna be
little bit
housed
of paving up there that we had started.
You had mentioned it. What's going to be housed in that building?
There is going to be a small office up there. We do want to put, we have a laptop to go up there as well for them to use, like, if anybody stops there to search, for and help, seasonals can help people locate with that on a limited basis. Hopefully eventually have a full, working kiosk that people can access and do. But a small office when we're up there, or there, because sometimes you're waiting, you're doing the service, and our guys need to they disappear. Can go in there. There will be a restroom in there. And then basically the rest of the space will be for equipment, some water storage tanks for watering. And that'll be to the north of the cemetery, edge of the woods right now. So.
In that little property right behind Escanaba Township's fire garage, there's that little patch of woods back there. It'll be right in the edge.
That'll be a good addition if it's needed. Yes, that is funded by Dr. Mary Creighton.
Next up is police department.
The budget that you have before you in the packet is based on replacing upcoming retiree at the end of this fiscal year, Officer Saylor. It's based on the revenues of the 15.5021 mills for the general fund. So the payroll listed in the first line is based on 7 PSOs, 1 detective sergeant, 1 sergeant, and my position. The item right below that is a grant that we received through the Office of Highway Safety Planning. It's reimbursed on the revenue side. The next 2 items are based on salary, obviously. The MERS defined benefit, you'll see quite a substantial reduction in that. We will have obviously 1 less member under the defined benefit plan if we replace, the retiring position. It is based on that assumption that we will, but the defined contribution end of the retirement system would go up, obviously, because we'd have that person in that system. The other reason for the reduction is redistribution of the defined benefit system, so to speak, that Vicki did with the pension stabilization fund and how that took place. The other items towards the top, life insurance, health insurance. Health insurance obviously is a big item. It includes, I believe, all but 2 people would be opt-outs in that figure. The rest would be opt-ins to the system under the Teamsters Healthcare or healthcare plan. The defined contribution, there is an error in that number that you see on the page, 20,820. In all the other accounts that I prepared, or all the other line items, they are planned on replacing the retiring position. In that one, I did it for 3 positions instead of 4, which it should be if we replace that position. So that line item would probably be raised by about $7,000. And that is something I've discussed with the city manager and the treasurer to try to work within the total number that you see in the entire budget. But that number is about 7,000 short as it currently is presented there. Other major, major things to point out would be the vehicle funds. Actually, a little bit down on the sheet under insurance. However, MMRMA reallocated our, every year they come in and do an evaluation of, our personal property, or, the patrol cars, fire trucks, all the other equipment in the city, and we're probably the highest individual department in terms of liability insurance. For obvious reasons, I guess, we deal with some pretty sensitive situations. I was off on that by about $4,000 this last year when they did the reevaluation, so that 17.2 figure reflects that estimate for what this next year would be. The insurance on the building and the vehicles are about the same. The items listed for the various vehicles that are in the police department fund, the 301 fund, are listed there. Those are a little bit lower than what I recommended. They show higher, a little bit higher than the 16-17 amended budget amounts. Those numbers, however, were reduced, in the overall scope of the general fund last year from the amounts that I had recommended. The $10,000 for the 2 cars that you see is based on about a 4-year replacement schedule on those vehicles. And that number you see there includes the maintenance figures for those cars. So whatever we save, or whatever, if we hit $3,500 in maintenance for the vehicle in a year, if we have a problem or something along those lines, we'd put about $7,000 towards replacement. So if you take, a $35,000 to $40,000 vehicle by the time we get it upfitted, and you divide that out by about 4 years, trying to put about $7,500 a year away to be able to replace that vehicle in 4 years. So that's what we've been trying to do, but those numbers are a little bit reduced. Contracted services that you see there for my department are mainly our lien and my CGN services through the state, our connection to the state computer systems, our records management system support that we have, like City Hall has BS&A software. We use Core Technology to interface us with the various state systems. It's our Big Smile tech support for in-house computer stuff. It includes our MEUW safety program. Half the cost is out of this fund, half the cost is out of the fire fund. Our network fleet. We discussed at one of the previous city commission meetings about upset. There is not upset funding in this amount at the current time. If we, depending on what the city commission decides with the overall general fund, we could add, $4,500 to $5,000, but it is not in there at this point. Our 302 funds and education and training that you see there, 302 funds are monies that we receive from the state based on our full-time equivalency of officers. We get about $200 per officer, right around there, a year, and they expect us to do all of our training with that, theoretically, which is not very feasible. But we also budget at $4,500. That $4,500 amount is our expected amount that we budget to be a part of the 302 system. That was our original amount that we had budgeted back when the 302 system came into place. So that's our expected amount that we budget on our own, because the 302 monies were not designed to supplant our own education and training funds. They were designed to augment it, not supplant it.
What do you mean by 302 when you say 302?
302 is the public act that created the training monies for law enforcement.
That's the heading. I was
Yep.
looking for the...
No, it's, yep.
It's so close.
Yep. You have listed there vaccines. That used to be listed as flu shot when we had the flu shot program. Essentially, it's listed under vaccines for us now for hepatitis B, other things that the health department recommends for law enforcement and fire. We need to get that program back. I mean, we need to make sure that all of our employees are properly vaccinated and have the updated titers and stuff that they recommend, and so we're looking into getting that properly set. And then the capital outlay of $40,000 is for replacement of our 2011 Dodge Charger. I am planning to replace that car with another Ford Interceptor utility. That has been a very successful car for us, and it gives us uniformity across our fleet of three marked cars. That amount for the vehicle is the cost of purchase plus the upfitting.
That's total delivered.
Well, the actual price of the car will probably be about $31 through the My Deal program, which is the best price we can find, and then the upfitting as far as the tablet, the cages, the lights, the equipment, that usually is about between $7,000 and $9,000. So I budgeted $40,000. Obviously on all of these, I'm trying to stay under, and if I think you look at the audits from the previous year, the public safety department has been pretty good at, you know, having that revenue coming back into the general fund at the end of the year. I would note that the capital outlay for the patrol car is not out of the equipment fund. A few years ago, we switched to trying to put that money into our own individual budget in the public safety department. It's maintained as a committed fund balance that is utilized for the replacement of cars, and we have, the numbers will fluctuate a little bit with what we have remaining in the line items that you noticed up above on the various vehicles, but I think we're going to have about 52,000 in that, so we'll do 40 this year. Next year, I probably won't replace a car, and we'll be able to continue to get that balance back up, so we'll be able to replace the vehicles. You'll notice if you go back way into the revenue, we have a public safety reserve or public safety car account that transfers the 40. You know, it's revenue coming in for the expenses
Where do you
going out.
account for the, you said you budgeted 10,000, but, you know, you're gonna, you had like 7,500 going over, where is that?
Well, if you go back up to the 933 line items, 933, 001, 002, 003, down through those vehicles, you'll see the various amounts there. Whatever is left in those specific line items at the end of the fiscal
Right.
year gets transferred into the public safety reserve account for vehicles. So say 933.001, there's 10,000 budgeted. If we have,
Right.
you know, 3,000 in maintenance, that 7,000 will go into that reserve account.
Is that reserve account
Yep.
listed anywhere?
Well, it's a separate account that Vicky maintains.
It's basically in
It's
the
included.
general fund balance. At
That
the
go-
end,
okay.
at the end of the
Would-
fiscal year, I have you guys vote, and I say, per treasury, we have to commit this.
When you saw the fund balance figure of $703,000 the other day in the general fund, that number is what's available. It's not the committed general fund. There's about the actual number is 902,000 or whatever, and that is what is in the reserve for the Olson Trust, which is, Mr. Olson left a trust to the Public Safety Department that totaled about $130,000, and that is in that committed amount too for us to be utilizing towards not day-to-day operations, but things that we as a department maybe would not be able to have otherwise. Some equipment that is specialized per se, and we've purchased defensive tactics equipment in the past. With that, we've done in-car cameras, upgrades in our tasers, weapons lights and sights, evidence collection equipment, video file retention equipment, our body camera equipment, things that, you know, help us do our job better.
I guess you have 20,000 listed for that this
Yep.
year?
Yep.
What are you planning on getting this year?
Well, same thing on some of those things. Some enhancements to our patrol car cameras. The cameras that we have in there are starting to show their age, so to speak, and their technology limitations. Some more defensive tactics equipment, some weapons simulation equipment that we're looking at. We're continually being asked by MCOLS to provide more sophisticated and better training. So I'm kind of looking to use some of that for training expenditures that we do at the range and in classroom too, with some computer simulation equipment. It's kind of a yearly thing that we look at to see where are we deficient in some of the things and see where we can improve. So the entire public safety budget, I believe, when you take into account the police department, the fire department, and then net out our revenues, which aren't very much, the entire budget, the net cost of service for us was about less than 1% increase from 16-17. And we're about a 5.4% increase in the 301 budget. We really went down in the 336 budget, in the fire budget, which I'll go over in a minute. But our, part of that was due to the fire truck revenue that came in from the Bessie's too. Any questions on the 301 account that I can maybe answer?
Question, going back to the insurance and liability.
Yep.
You said that's based on an audit of some sort?
It's based on MMRMA coming in and looking at our policies and procedures, looking at how many arrests we've made in the previous year and what type of arrests, whether they're misdemeanors, felony arrests. Do we have best practices in place for use of force? Are our model policies in place?
That's the renewal form.
That's the renewal form.
Okay, I didn't know if there was
It's
any.
like a self-assessment.
What areas they score on that, and then how do they weight that? Is there any room to get a better rating?
There is. They have their best practices, and there were a few areas where we need to have a new policy or an updated policy in some certain things. But there really wasn't anything. When I met with Kevin Denicky, who's our local MMRMA rep, he said it's kind of just the cost of.
No, I am.
Yeah, but one thing with MMRMA too that you should be aware of is we have what do they call it, the redistribution of net asset distribution. And this year in the general fund we got back, was it $40-some thousand or something like that yeah, maybe it was higher. I'm trying to look for it quickly. Liability and property insurance reimbursement, it's 663.000. It's listed as $40,000 that we got refunded from MMRMA, so to speak, due to their investments in the fact. So, yes, we went up in that, but we're getting it back in some ways too, back to the general fund. So, and MMRMA has been absolutely phenomenal in terms of providing us with some grants that have helped pay for some security features to the buildings. They have their risk avoidance program. They're called RAP grants, which we apply for routinely and have gotten some. It's a competitive deal, but they, especially on the law enforcement side, they have about $1 million that they put out to their different member agencies through RAP grants throughout the year. So
One in right now for the clerks training.
Yeah.
Continuing education, they recognize that as well, so.
I was just wondering, because I know in public and private business, and depending on the type of training and, like, say, a piece of equipment or where somebody's working, if they have certain certifications and stuff, you can get your liability, your score lowered.
Yep.
And I
And
know
that's-
I'm always watching that because I get audited every year also, and I always try to adjust where people are and.
That's their best practices review that they do, and frankly, it's if I could send both of our detectives or our detective sergeant and sergeant to staff and command school, we'd have benefits there, but can you supplant their being gone for the amount of weeks that it takes to go through that and get the certification and fire officer school or different things? It's hard to, and MMRMA provides some money to be able to do that, but you still have to run the day-to-day operations of the department too, so where's the offsetting part of it? So anyways, that's the overall on the 301 budget again with replacing our next retiree, and that is a decision obviously that you will have to make with the budget. But it's a decision that I need to know, because our next retiree is done in about 20 days, work days, the end of March. So, on the fire department, the 336 account, the payroll that you see is for our full-time records clerk in the office and our volunteers, of which we have technically 23 current volunteers. We usually maintain amount of staffing of about 20. The reason we have 23 right now is there's 3 or 4 that are planning on probably calling it quits pretty soon, and we're trying to get people trained. Social Security, Medicare, again, those items. Health insurance you see is for the one records clerk. MERS defined contribution is for the records clerk. Materials and supplies on the 336 account is obviously related to firefighting materials and supplies, as well as our building supplies for the public safety facility, cleaning supplies, general things like that. That's where most of our normal office supplies come out of as well. On the 301 account, most of the materials and supplies, much of that is in ammunition. And ammunition is expensive, and it takes a long time to get. We usually order in the spring, expecting to get our order in the following fall.
There's no
Not the-
preference given to law enforcement?
Well, they say they try, but 45 ammunition and 223 ammunition is very hard to get. Community promotion, the $500 you see is normally for our annual fire prevention education up at the Cameron School. We share some of that cost with Escanaba Township Fire Department. Insurance on the vehicles here is listed for the fire trucks. The increase you see is basically our new fire truck. It's a little more expensive than our old one.
This is new.
Electricity, natural gas, obviously, are for the public safety facility. Water and sewer the same. The amounts for the Pierce fire truck and the Freightliner, I had hoped to do the 13.5 again. We looked at reducing those based on the overall position of the general fund. Again, the 7,500. As much of that as we can put towards replacement per year, we will. This will be the second year that we've actually set up the funds for the fire trucks. We've done the patrol cars for 5 years now, I think. The fire trucks, just basically in 16, 17, we started that. And that's normal wear, our normal maintenance on the trucks. It's also our ladder inspection, our pump inspections, some of the things that we have to hire out, third-party certifications of the truck on a yearly basis. Hovercraft maintenance, you see on that, it kind of depends on things we might have with that. We also have a balance from the donations that were done with the hovercraft. We still have a remaining balance that we draw from on that. Repairs and maintenance, fire-related. The first repairs and maintenance is equipment. The second repairs and maintenance you see is building. It's just been cut off by the way the documents printed out. The contracted services is part of our, we have a fire system in our building, an alarm system that we pay like $500 monitoring, half of the MEUW safety program, and then the rest of it there is actually part of the wages that pay for the dispatcher, for our records clerk, because she also handles the janitorial services for our building. A couple reasons for that. One, it was cheaper for us to do that than to contract it out. The officers did it for many years, and there was questions of why are we paying a patrol officer to, you know. And then the other part of it is anybody I have in that facility that gets through our entrance, I have to background check and certify for our computer systems that we operate in it. She's already done, so I don't have to redo that. Education and training is fire related. There's a little bit more this year because we're bringing on a few extra people. I'm planning on doing the fire training for the officers that we hire, because 9 times out of 10 they don't already have the fire training. We have to do that separately. And then the huge reduction you see there in capital outlay is the truck. The truck's in place now. The capital outlay you see there for $4,000, I'm planning on hopefully purchasing another positive pressure air fan for fire operations. We have one, and we really need one for each truck. So that budget is significantly lower than what you see for 16, 17. About half, lower than half.
But last year, that capital outlay number was grant money from the Bessie
That
donation,
was
right?
grant money from the Bessie Foundation that helped, that completed the purchase of the truck and also helped us finish off and improve our SCBA compressor and system to fill our air bottles.
So that's new? Or just,
Part of it is new, part of it is our older system that we were able to maintain and continue to use with the new air compressor. We never used to have an air compressor before. We had what was called a cascade system, 4 bottles that we just filled off. Now we have a compressor that fills those 4 bottles for us, so we don't have to send our big bottles away. We fill them ourselves.
We just purchased that last year, right?
Yep. And it's been working great. And we also continue to have our automatic aid agreement with Escanaba Township. That's been working well. We get a benefit from it. They do get a benefit from it. I mean, I know when that originally came in, there was questions over who was going to benefit most or who was going to, we have the availability on a structure fire. Automatically, we have the 2 trucks coming from the Bessie Hall, one being a, 100-foot aerial platform. They get the benefit of us responding to help them out on structure fires within a certain limited distance within, from the city. We basically don't go farther than the West Gladstone Bridge unless it's really, unless it's like a mutual aid request. But it's been about equal, the number of calls that we've assisted each other on, and we're doing some good training together and constantly getting better at, operating 2 departments at the same scene, so. That is the extent of the police and fire department.
what do you do with the old car that you're retiring? Is that just going to
Well,
city use?
It used to. Most of our older cars went to other city departments. Usually the recreation department took
I was
them.
just wondering, because last night she was saying about buying a new truck, and I've had that truck in 18 years. I'm like, well, what do you do with that old car?
The last
Sir?
4 cars, the last 3 or 4 cars that we've were processed out of service, we've auctioned. Not auctioned, but we've solicited bids and we've sold them outright. Yeah. Now
Only if it turns left.
the green or the brown Taurus that I came to you about and replaced in this last fiscal year, which was kind of an emergency replacement because it was rusting out. My plan was and still is to take that to the junkyard because it's not safe. However, we're going to utilize it for training for our extrication, and we're going to
Chop it up?
cut it up, basically, because we have to do annual training to keep proficient in that stuff. So it makes sense.
Scrap is scrap.
Might as well use our own, and we'll still get the same,
All those
150
old
bucks.
pieces are all put back, it'll be the same more money.
Yeah. Yep. So that's it for me. Unless there's any other questions. I always talk too much, so apologize for
I
that.
hate following Paul, and some year I should not have to.
Better than Wally. It's just the way the numbers fall.
It is.
It's always such a letdown after
I
Paul.
know.
It's like-
Well, I always say with our department too, and it's obvious, we are the biggest department out of the general fund, and we don't generate money. I mean, our limited income is about $80,000 is what it is for this fiscal year, and $40,000 of that is the money we consider coming in from the patrol car. So if you look at the history of the public safety department, it's about $40,000 in income via district court fines or via training money or things like that. So, I mean, I'm blunt about that. We are what we are.
Welcome to a fundraiser. So, under
Have some French
community,
fries.
under community development, for the payroll line item, that line item reflects me as full-time, RJ and Jason as rental inspectors, and then Dell as the code enforcement person. It used to also reflect the building inspector, but that was removed this year as we moved that service to the county. It still went up a little bit, even removing the building inspector. The building inspector was never a lot of money, and we only budgeted usually $5,000 for the building inspector. And this year, if you look at my actual activity under salaries, under payroll, you'll see that it's lower than it should be, and that's largely because we haven't been doing as many rental inspections as we should be. And that's solely because I had a busy year and I do the scheduling, and I couldn't get them scheduled. So next year, I bumped them up a little bit, trying to catch up, so they'll work a little bit more for me next year. But we did save a little money this year, and that money will, of course, go back to the general funds at the end of the year. So Social Security, Medicare, insurance, health insurance, all of that follows. Under the health insurance and defined contribution, that money reflects just one full-time person, and because the part-timers aren't eligible for that. And under office supplies, you can see I have to get a new monitor this year, so excited about that. Don't have to, but it's so small I can't see it anymore. I moved my office, it's further away from me, and I'm struggling to see it, and it's one of the smaller, older ones, so I'm anxious to get a new one like everybody, the normal person has. And when we have new members on the planning commission, we use this line item to get new code books, and those are they're expensive, but they're required for the planning commission to utilize to do their job. So we do have one new planning commissioner because of Brad's move to the city commission, and I anticipate, from what I'm hearing, that I will lose one more this year. So I'm looking at 2 new planning commissioners this year, which will also reflect a little bit more in the training and transportation, because when I have new members, typically they attend a few more trainings than my members that have been on board for a while. So I still reduced it a bit, but our building inspector was required to attend regular trainings, and it was largely my building inspector that took most of the money for the education and training and transportation and lodging. Even though I had lost that, I know that having 2 new people on board is going to be a little bit more costly than in a normal year. So I reduced it, but still kept it kind of a little bit higher than I would have normally, just because I know I have some new members coming. And contracted services, that line item reflects pretty much the same as Paul. Big smile on technology for our computer systems, and the safety coordinator, my portion of that contribution to the MEUW safety person. If we took out demolition, I'm looking at my original budget here, so it's a little bit different than what you're looking at. Copier rental, I noticed, I budgeted what I always budget. The activities are quite a bit higher than that. I'm going to look into that because I think somebody's coding something to my code that they shouldn't be. Probably
Still our secret codes.
Not saying any names, but
copier rental.
Copier rental, mine is high.
Mine is high this year too.
Everybody's copier rental.
I don't know.
We're
Are
all
they
bringing
charging
It's
us
on my
more than
to-do
normal?
list.
Something's not.
How does that work? Does the company that owns copier charge you per copy on that?
There's usually a quarterly fee that we pay per contract that covers the toners, and then if I say we have our own
Same
fee
system,
there, but
yeah.
it's the same. If you go over the amount of allotted copies, then there's a fee per copy that is billed out, but there's usually a,
Then when you
Set.
go to use the copier,
Yeah, we might need to
I have a
volunteer.
code that's for me, and I
So
punch that
basically,
in and
we're
it tracks me.
renting this copier, and that
Right.
alleviates any maintenance or anything.
We
So
lease
obviously
it,
they have to fix
but it tracks how many copies Renee gets billed. So Renee, somebody's stealing Renee's number.
But you get your little
Yeah.
your fingerprint reader.
Yes, I'm gonna change my number.
Well, somebody's
And
stealing all of
eyeball.
it.
An eye scanner, there we go.
Yeah.
Eye scanner.
Somebody's sneaking.
well, and we've
into
had,
That's me next in charge.
it was mentioned one time that why doesn't public safety use the copier here? We can't.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and City Hall, that copier's spinning a lot too. I mean, there's a lot of copies that go out for everything, and our department utilizes quite a bit of copies too with
Oh, that just wouldn't make sense running back and forth to get your stuff to all the time.
Yeah.
A little
Yeah,
bit
not
you
with,
save you waste.
not with our department.
So I'm slightly higher than last year's budget, largely increases in healthcare, wages, that kind of thing is what's reflecting there. And anticipating that I will be utilizing my 2 rental rehab staff more substantially this year to make up for this past year. But you will see at the end of the year, or at the end of our fiscal year, when this closes out, you should see a payroll surplus coming back from my department too. It should more than offset the increase for this year. Unless you have a question.
Is there any online trainings available for some of the new members?
Yeah, there
I
is.
remember when I did that, and it
Yeah,
was
you did
pretty
yours all
efficient.
online.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's still a fee for it.
right, but I mean,
But
there's
it
no
cuts down on the
travel.
cost, yeah. The other thing that I didn't mention, not just for the new members, but for myself, one, I haven't been to a training outside of Escanaba in forever, but we have, with that redevelopment ready communities, that's new for me, and then the flex zoning, that's new for me too. I'm hoping to get some training in that to support enforcing it and working with it in the future, because I have not had anything in either of those categories. The redevelopment readiness I have, but not in some of the specific areas that they require us to develop plans and things in, so. But yes, we do utilize as much online as we possibly can. The only trouble with online when you have a full-time job and you're sitting in your office is the people don't stop coming. And when you're trying to do it and people keep coming in, sometimes I get more done if I just go to Marquette and sit and be away from the office, but it's not always possible.
Okay, DPW administration, that is being combined with,
That is just a wash account. That's where their vacation, all their benefits are recorded, and then I disperse it out based on payroll.
okay.
So that's just a recording.
Grounds maintenance, is this DPW or the rec department?
Grounds maintenance is DPW for mostly plowing city parking lots and whatnot.
It came down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Alley maintenance, that would be, except plowing the alleys and gravel and
Mm-hmm.
That's all DPW too?
I see there's,
Copier expense, that's all for DPW too?
Oh, copier expense, that copier and materials and supplies, that's, we'll buy materials and supplies or office supplies for everybody. It's recorded here, and then there's offsetting revenue. So we buy bulk copy paper.
Right.
And water, wastewater comes and uses it. And so I do an analysis at the end of the year, and then they transfer
So it's
it.
just got its own fund?
It's just a wash.
I saw that DPW benefits is a whole lot less than.
For what?
in the alley maintenance.
Oh, under
does.
alley maintenance?
Did that get missed again, maybe?
For budgeting?
That was moving into alley maintenance.
Moving into
Electric, right?
Well, I thought we had
did
talked about
something, yeah.
solid,
It was in solid
Solid
waste,
waste
and it
because
was moved to the general fund
Oh,
was that what it
last
was?
budget. Mhm.
But it's getting money from the utilities utilities that have,
The water,
Utilities.
wastewater, and electric, and solid waste contribute to the general fund to
Yeah.
help.
Well, I mean, this
offset.
year it
Mhm.
says it's 7,000, next year is $722.
Mhm. I'll have to ask Mark where he got that number from.
split them
Mhm.
out, he wants to split it off somewhere else.
Because that's where all of it is, less.
Yeah, yeah.
You
it was-
bet.
Yep. I'll have to ask, Mark on that number.
Recreation administration.
All right, not much has changed. Payroll is Nicole's, all of her payroll, and then some of mine when I'm in the office. She had brought up the materials and supplies, $1,000 just to offset the cost from last year, this fiscal year. Then we're moving into that bus garage, so we're gonna need a new desk. Nicole needs another computer. That's what she has that in there, and then and this year she kept $1,000 in the education and training because our certified playground safety inspection certificate course is required this year. We want to get recertified. Parks, payrolls were myself, Ben's salary, Ben's payroll, and then part-time, you're just going that same payroll category. Nothing much has changed in that one either. The electricity's changed a little bit just because we're gonna be moving to that the bus garage, and there's a bigger building, more storage. We're gonna have it the whole year. Pushing up the electricity. That actually should increase electricity from this year.
Say that again, now,
I was looking at the electricity, I looked at, the activity was 1385, and it looked like she upped it from that, but last year, this fiscal year was 3,500.
she actually went down.
She actually went down $1,000, so. I'd ask her about that, 'cause I know we're moving into the bus garage, and it's gonna be we're gonna keep it building the whole winter and everything, it's usually we kinda switch.
Did we not keep the other one running all winter?
No, we kinda shut it down in the fall, and then we started back up in the spring, so we just moved out of it.
In the winter, what do you plan on doing in there? Just keeping your snowplow equipment? And
Yep, we'll keep all of our, we have tons of things we move up to the sports park just because everything freezes down there, so we'll keep everything down there. We'll keep all of our vehicles inside there. Our offices are gonna be in that same building, so we'll go from 2 buildings down to 1 building, so everything will be right there.
You're gonna heat that building too, right?
Yeah, they have Modines in the shop in there, and then there's gonna be some electric heaters in the offices.
So in the budget here, you've got, money for heating that building?
Yeah, it'll be between the recreation administration, because the offices are in there, and then, then the parks payroll, but, I don't know if it doesn't look like she's, I mean, the electric, there's 2 Modine heaters in there for gas, and the rest is electric, so, I have to talk to her about that, because I don't know if it looked like she decreased the recommend from $1,500 to $1,000 for the gas and oil, and then decrease the electricity for the parks down also, so,
Good.
ask her about that.
You've got natural gas and other, but
Yeah,
actually,
gas and oil is
it only
like,
went up $100.
Yeah.
where do you see that?
And then on the next page, under other recreation facilities,
Natural gas.
there's natural gas there.
Yeah, that wouldn't be under our shop and the offices.
Just anything that you can help.
Or it should be added to,
Yeah, the gas and oil for the recreation administration would be part of that, and then the parks, gas and oil would be, and electricity would be towards that. The other that could be like the beach house that we heat, and basically, it's just a beach house that we have on, just because we're gonna, the beach will be separate there too, so.
Yeah, beach is good, so, good guys.
Do we keep the beach house heated in the winter?
We are this year, just because we're gonna be moving our ice rink, to the beach house, because, we're getting rid of the rec building right now. We'll be making a,
How are you gonna do, where are you gonna put it there?
between the beach house and the beach, so, if you look at the boardwalk going up to the beach house,
Sorry.
just to the right of the boardwalk going up to the beach from the beach house, there's a pretty big area there, and there's a few trees we gotta get rid of. And we'll
Towards the
kinda-
lake or on
Towards the lake.
towards the lake?
Yep, so it'd be west, towards the lake, so it'd be southwest of the beach house, basically.
You're gonna have to add
And then
lighting,
the-
lighting down there then too?
Yep, and we have that, and I'll cover that when we go, we have an ice rink, budget here.
Department. Follow the department.
Okay. And then the other recreation facilities, you can see there's quite a few, big items in there, and that's all gonna be covered by, Mary Cretan's, money. So the first one, materials and supplies is, you see 10,000, that's for the new trailhead, which is gonna be by Kids Kingdom. And there's $1,000 for the small pavilion. Should put $1,200 in there for the ball diamonds, which we gotta replace that fence, especially on the north side. There's a pretty big gap under there, and a lot of, balls go through there all the time, so, we'll replace that fence, and then, there's 10,000 in there for the sports park ball diamonds. $7,000 of that is for operations, which that's what we budget every year. Around 7,000. She budgeted $7,500 last year, but and then 3,000 is for batting cages down there. We have one batting cage already here. We have to install. Just planning to do one more batting cage for down up there, and that's 2%.
That $3,000 will be covered by leftover revenue from the Hannahville grant, and they've okayed us to use that on the batting cages. So the $3,000 batting cages will be covered by the grant.
And then the bathroom gazebo, she has 2,000 there from Mary Cretan's. And then the fishing pier, 7,000. And the fish cleaning station, if you jump down a few, that's $9,000. You see, that's what she has from Mary Cretan's also. And then Kids Kingdom, $1,500 is Mary Cretan's. $12,000 under the neighborhood playgrounds is for relocating the playground that we tore up for OSF. When they built that building, moving that west of where we are, where it was previously. And then we have $30,000 for the recreation center. That's to just renovate the bus garage, the old bus garage. And then $1,000 for the boardwalk. We plan on restaining that and sealing that back up, and replacing the boards. And some of those beams underneath are kind of sagging down, so you gotta jack those up and level that out. So, and then the skate park, $4,500 is going to be for repainting it, putting new molding on there, and then fixing some bracing underneath. And then there's $40,000 for the capital outlay, which would be for the disc golf course. That would be a grant.
Say that again.
$40,000 in the capital outlay is for the grant for the disc golf course. They had already spent, I think, they already did a preliminary plan, $7,500 for up there. And I don't know if she told you guys.
Yeah, they were here.
Told you, okay.
Yeah, we approved the 75. Where'd the 40,000 come from?
That-
We didn't approve the 75, that was their.
That was their money.
Yep.
That was
We just
the,
Right,
approved,
we told them we would go
right,
ahead and
we
look at it.
approved them moving forward.
She
They're
put-
gonna be applying for a grant, a $40,000 grant, which is in the revenue portion also, to, put the disc golf course up there.
so that's just offset.
Right, so they're looking to fundraise, they do that oftentimes through the city.
That's not gonna be a matching grant where we have to match any amount of that money?
No, we're saying if there's $40,000 expenditure, there's
That's
gonna be a
it.
$40,000 revenue to support it. If there's not, the expense wouldn't happen.
Yeah, and it's pretty common, I mean, you see a lot of,
I don't even see where you got this $40,000. I see capital outlay of 25,000.
Over more.
It was 25 last year,
other than.
40 this year.
Where, I don't even know where we're at.
All
Page
all the way,
11.
all the way to the right, page 11 of 51.
Page 11.
I'm ahead of you. Okay.
Got it?
Yep.
I mean, we also plan on getting, a lot of times businesses sponsor each hole for disc golf. That's one thing we're looking at too. And of course,
Are you confident they're gonna get that grant?
yeah, I mean,
Usually, we're pretty confident Bessie's going to fund it.
Do we have to name it after them too?
Sure.
I don't know.
I'm sure.
for 2 years.
If they pay for it, maybe, I don't know. Bessie had already talked to this club, and they're pretty confident that that's where it's coming from.
So with the Dr. Mary Creighton's revenue coming in to cover the expenses, and then the $40,000 grant, this department costs $27,840. Dr. Mary Creighton's is covering $60,200.
Of what?
Dr. Mary Creighton's is covering $60,200 of this department. This is the department where most of her
Money was allocated.
Money was allocated.
endowment is allocated. I couldn't think of the word.
It's the
That's really
last
nice
night.
to know.
It's the last night. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
I was gonna say,
No,
if we all
it's
start
going
to
to be
eat
the last
faster.
night.
Okay.
Can I ask a question? This is all Parks and Recreation, but why do we have 8 different funds? Is that an accounting thing? They have to do it that way? Wouldn't it, I mean, it just seems like it would be easier to understand if everything for Parks and Recreation was under one fund. Is there a reason that we have to break all these up into individual
You
funds?
mean under one department?
Right, well, you got
Yeah.
8 different funds here for one department.
Mhm. The beach has to be separate. Yep, yeah, based on the state chart of accounts, yes, unfortunately.
Can we get I suppose I can figure it out myself, but I'd like to know what the total is between all 8 departments. I can figure that out.
8
We got a
funds,
total
we-
for every one of them here, so.
Yeah, I could do that.
We can put it on a spreadsheet so you could, see it all in one. That would just be an internal document. Our chart of
Mhm.
accounts would have to stay the same way.
Mhm.
Pretty sure Nicole's done that,
Yeah.
previous year. I think she has another one she did this year. She has one, actually.
Yeah, 'cause she figured out the total
Is this
cost
the
of
one, is that what she,
recreation to
is
the
that what
city.
she gave us before she left last night? I didn't even look
Oh,
Is
at
that
it.
what
is
she
it?
handed out last night, Kim? I saw
I
it on the
didn't know
printer.
she handed something.
That's right.
Yeah, I guess it is.
What would be nice is that all these fund transfers, if you knew where they were going. Like you just told us that the Dr. Mary Creighton money is, a good majority of it's landing here. Without you telling us that, looking
you
at
look
this
at-
document, you can't tell.
Look at your Dr. Mary Creighton's general fund.
Yeah, but it doesn't say where it went.
It's $2,500 campground, and there's $4,500 skate park. I mean, it kind of.
So
Yeah.
if I
on the
How do
front
we know
page.
that-
there
How
ain't
do
a-
we know that that came from Dr. McCready's?
It'd be nice if it was on the
It says
spreadsheet.
it
Yeah.
on, well,
It'd be nice if it was like a check register where it showed your money coming in,
Right.
your money going
Like
out
a notes
in
column.
that fund, so that you can see that, you know, this is where it went and this is where it came from.
Or when it
And trying
says,
to piece this together like a,
Yeah, without her telling you. it's
See,
hard to
it's
decipher, really.
Could we add a column for remarks on the last column?
because for example, like the disc golf thing, where you guys, where the expenditure showed 40, you could point out in the revenue, that's for disc golf, and you could note that it's grant. or-
Well, yeah, and I mean, you understand, because, you know, the
I
public
think
gets
that's a
hold of
good
this. and
idea,
they go,
doing a
What are you doing
remark,
spending $40,000 on a disc golf?
Disc golf.
That would help the DDA. too.
Exporting
And
it.
we
Did a
try to
remarks
explain-
column.
Right, then you say, no, no, they're not spending anything.
it would just be nice if those transfers, you know, had the fund number that they were transferred to
Right.
in there, you know.
So we just had an idea where that money's coming
Yeah,
from,
it
you know, it's
just-
not coming out of tax
Yeah,
dollars, it's coming out of.
See, when we do
fees
it,
or-
I could spend 8 hours figuring it out, but.
when I do my own internal, that,
She
I
kinda
think,
did that.
I learned this from Eric, that's what we do.
I have my,
is
my
we
own
keep our
internal
notes on
one,
the
and I
side.
have an extra column on it, and it has that listed, so we'll add that to these, so the next batch you get.
I did it with an Excel spreadsheet
Yeah.
of this one time.
Yeah.
It took me a long time.
But yeah, I know what you're saying. If these notes could be on here,
Right. Make it a lot
we don't need
easier.
an extra sheet, because
Yeah.
she kinda did that on this one she handed out last night. If these, what I was saying, if these notations are on here,
And it's all in one document.
we
She'll
just answered
do
a whole
that.
bunch of questions.
Yep,
Mhm.
that'll be on your next one.
Okay.
For the, when the budget's introduced
At the
at the
meeting.
commission.
Just make it easier
That'll
for
be
somebody
good,
to
yeah.
go right
When are we
That's-
doing
Huh?
that? When are we doing that?
Tomorrow.
Yeah. If we get through
Friday,
this,
Saturday, and Sunday.
The,
Paul says we don't do these on Friday.
no,
You can.
yeah, I don't know if we'll be here,
I'm
but,
feeling a temperature coming.
yeah. I think I have the stomach flu.
all right.
Okay, beach.
Where's
All right. Beach, nothing's really changed on the beach at all. That's one of those, funds that get funded by the Mayor Creighton's fund also. Yep, the Mayor Creighton's, puts $20,000, we're putting $20,000, to this fund, so total is $30,720, so it costs $10,720.
Why last year did we have a budget of 50,000 and we only spent 30? I mean, is there?
I think we had like the,
Isn't the beach wall gonna be?
Yes, she had capital outlay in there of 21,000,
Okay.
and she did.
For the beach wall, and we decided not to do that, or?
she didn't put it in this one actually, I don't know, we talked about it, but I don't know why.
I was at the rec board meeting, and the rec board decided to shuffle around their projects on what they thought was most important, that fall more in line with the new trail going along the shoreline, so that's still on their projects, but they shuffled it a couple of years down the road.
And then the payroll for the ice rink, this year was, you can see it was pretty low just because the weather was pretty warm, we couldn't make ice for a while there, and then shut down earlier this year, then shut down again, shut down right now, because, there's not enough ice right now, so, we left the $5,000 in there for the payroll expense, which is right around usual, where we are. And then the capital outlay, you see $5,000 in there is for the new ice rink. That's to dig out, remove some trees, stumps, dig it out, and then put new lights up there and run water out there, so.
We do all that for 5,000?
Yeah, that's, we got quotes before we put in 5,000, but, we only need a few lights in the beach houses right there, so we can run water off the beach house or run a line from the main, stub it up somewhere over there just so they have a hydrant, so.
Okay.
And then I
So are you gonna use the beach house as like a warming house? do you
Yeah.
think? Okay.
Yep.
Just the half of the beach house will be open, the part that has the concession and the little office in it, that there's.
We're gonna have people coming into the beach house with ice skates on?
Yeah, we, like at the rec center, we put down rubber mats, yeah, so. And it's already has a furnace in there and everything too, so. It's not-
Um, I did look on the WPPI grant stuff, so that's one of the things we can probably get those lights from WPPI for free, so.
Really?
Can you light the ice?
And then it could be different colors.
The lights under it?
I have red and green.
You can do anything,
that
just like a
right?
contractor will tell you, you can do anything you want, it's just how much you wanna pay.
Better raise that capital outlay.
Yeah,
budget.
if-
Yeah, if the lights are
WPPI.
green.
Then I can do my Christie Yamaguchi imitation.
I would actually
I'd like to see that.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's gonna be a new
There's a
community
revenue
event.
source.
Sell some tickets. Make some.
And then the ice rink is also something that the Mary Creighton's, we have Mary Creighton's money for, so that offsets about $12,900, so basically that won't cost anything. We're using Mary Creighton's money for that.
For the whole ice rink project,
Yep.
The whole ice rink
That's on this-
department,
the whole department.
the whole
Fun,
department.
fun.
Department.
We're in the general
Or
fund.
Paul would say the
The
757.
departments.
Or Paul would say the 757.
What?
757.
He would say 757.
So you should look at that too.
Good morning.
All right, and then
Wake
the,
up, deputy treasurer.
There's a reason they give me a
the sports
ruler.
park, there's not much different there other than the telephone, we up that $1,300. We use the Harbor phone up there, because we started using credit cards up there, so we had to keep that activated all year round. Which is, I mean, using the credit cards up there helps a lot, just because people are more apt to give you the credit cards and go somewhere like that.
Nobody has cash anymore, I'll tell you
No.
that.
I tell you what, it's true. It's-
Operating, but that brings
So do I, but
operating.
I'll tell you what, 70% of the people.
What, use
It's
the credit card?
And then also the printing and publishing, we have to get new brochures, I know, for next year, because they're all out for this year. That's a pretty big cost. Usually we order quite a few at one time, so.
How many do you usually get?
What's that?
How many do you get for that, $100?
It's a good question. I know in the past, I mean, we got like 4 or 5 boxes. I mean, and we give them out to all the businesses, we give them out to the schools, we give them out, here or something like that, so. We get quite a few of them.
Where does that come from?
The guy from,
Lake Superior Press.
yep, Superior Press.
Like that?
Town.
Have you put that out anywhere local?
Not that I know of, I mean, we've been going with them since I've been here, so.
Yeah, no, I know Tom, I used to do some flyers and mailings and shipping stuff with him, but, I was just wondering, because, there's a couple places in Escanaba.
Yeah, we're
They've been competitive on some stuff, and I get all my stuff printed there. This might be worth looking into.
yeah, I'll ask her, I'll mention it to her.
We had so many local ones last
Mm-hmm.
time.
That's what I was just thinking of.
We do have
Did-
somebody in Glasgow?
It'd be nice if we
Nice
did.
if we
Oh.
did.
Yeah.
Working on it.
Gotta find a bullet.
Everything in that fund pretty much looks the same except for the $160,000 for capital outlay. What is that?
Magic carpet.
Yeah, that's for the
ride.
magic carpet.
Ready for the magic
Are
carpet
you
ride?
ready for the
Yeah.
magic
What is-
carpet
what
Is
ride?
that for the tube?
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically what it is, it's like
Sure, what it is.
like an escalator, basically, with a big giant belt.
Okay.
So it's gonna be like 350 feet long. Basically a belt, the one we're looking at is 36 inches wide with a little 18-inch platform. And you stand on it, put your tube on it, and it brings you right up, so, one
How
of
do
the
you
things.
currently get the tubes up there?
We have a cable tow where we have a little paddles hanging down, we hook the little rubber loop on it. Which, I mean, one of the things, if you guys ever go up there tubing at all, or see tubing, is they always wait down at the end of the bottom of the hill all the time. So you see a huge line, and if there's 100 people over there, there's a huge line, there's usually, there's a lot of people
And
waiting.
it stops probably every third person because someone's knocking the plug off.
Yeah, exactly.
Sounds like you've
Not
experienced
me,
that.
but I mean, I'm good. I jump right off.
Well,
You go tubing?
Yeah.
I'm thinking we should have a
We gotta
Mrs.
get a
Tubing.
tubing day, I'm pretty
I
sure.
break easy. I'm too old for that.
No!
I don't have to climb up, so.
Huh?
I don't have to climb up.
Who makes
so-
this magic carpet thing?
Good question. I have all the stuff in the office. I don't remember. I don't recall it.
This is gonna be all grant money?
Yep,
Yeah.
through
Yeah,
the
if
Michigan
you-
National Research Trust Fund and 2%.
In the revenue, there's
So there's no match?
Hannahville revenue and also Michigan National Resource Trust Fund.
Or usually the
So,
Michigan National Research
If,
Trust Fund.
you know, if we don't get the grants, of course, then we don't do the project.
One of those grants usually requires a match, but
Yeah,
she's
that's
gonna
what I
use
was-
the other
I
grant.
see a lot of
DNR.
that. Is
DNR.
that how you do it?
Yeah.
That's how she does it.
She does.
What do you expect the maintenance on this thing to be?
What's that?
What do you expect the maintenance on this thing to be? It sounds like more sophisticated than a toll road.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's actually quite a few ski hills that use them. I think Boyne has one. I mean, it seems to me that, I mean, the way they explain it, I mean, there's a melting pad on it, so when the snow comes around, it kind of brushes off the snow off the belt, and it comes down and it melts on the ground, you know. So I mean, they dig it out pretty far underneath. I mean, I've seen videos on it. And, I mean, there's not. When I was,
You're like a tunnel for the return path?
yeah, you kind of dig it out underneath, you know, so it comes around and the motor's all below it and everything, and just kind of there's a big pit for the snow to fall in and everything. I mean, we actually looked it up a couple years ago and kind of researched it all, looked at videos and stuff like that, and got all the information. I don't remember exactly what the maintenance cost was exactly on it, but I mean, it's a pretty cool thing. I mean, the biggest complaint is having people having to walk up and waiting so long, you know, to use the hill.
Well, the first thing that came to my mind is bringing our liability insurance down. Because
It actually
we've
brings-
had,
sure.
You
Brings
know,
it
with the
down. That
rope,
cable.
there's so many kids that get injured with that.
There's gotta be something
So
at
of course, that was the first
transition
thing that
point.
came to my mind.
There's gotta be something at the
Actually make
transition
their
point where it goes
insurance
underground that, there's gotta be
This,
something
the
safety-wise.
carpet is definitely a lot
People can
safer.
get sucked in, right?
Yeah. They don't see the light.
I guess the way I look at it is.
There's gotta be
that's
something
a
at the
big
top to keep
investment
people
for
getting sucked in, so
an
there's.
area
Oh,
that
like
they
an
continue to
escalator?
use.
I mean,
Like an escalator.
Yeah, what if somebody gets
You know
their
what I'm
foot
saying?
caught in there?
Called natural.
Yeah, I mean, they have a like a, it's like an escalator. They have like a little plate or something, you know, like a rubber pad or whatever.
I just
Yeah,
envision
I don't
it.
remember exactly what it was, but yeah, it's all
Just
closed
stand-
up, so you can't really see what's underneath it.
I'll have to send you an email, you can maybe send me some info on it.
That's what I.
Sounds kinda neat.
Yeah, I mean, there's videos. I mean, if you just Google magic
It's got
carpet,
rails
I
and everything.
did right here.
He's trying.
I'm watching it right now.
Our assistant's trying.
Here.
Oh, that's pretty neat.
I landed up on one
That
on the
was- that
bottom
was
of the hill when I was
enclosed. Ours would
racing
be
Anna
just kinda
one
open.
Right.
day.
But the belt's the same.
Yep.
Stand on
Even
it.
that old guy can get off there, no problem.
See, now you can go.
Dave, you can do that.
See, and then that even opens, I mean, if you put that
I
in.
think at a
doesn't that
community
open up
event,
for
we
something?
could have, Eric's doing the ice rink, you guys do the ski hill.
But there's some maintenance on the tow rope right now, isn't there? I mean, there's some cost involved in that. That thing's not new.
No,
Right,
no.
I'm sure
Anything that turns has got a cost.
Well, you get regular maintenance, I'm sure.
Yeah.
It'd be used to check.
I mean,
It'd be
those
worse than-
Torups are old. They're old. I mean, we had to.
That's the album magic carpet, right, by Stephen.
Like last year, I mean, the whole soft start went out on us, and there was, I mean, the box down there, the electrician was ripping stuff out of there that wasn't even, he's like, I don't even know what this is. And, I mean, it's so old, and so many people have worked on it. I mean, it still works. I mean,
Are you gonna move the paddle lift over to the bunny hill then?
no,
It's still gonna have the rope there?
yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's that paddle lift. I mean, you almost have to, like pony. I mean, the little kids try to use it, and it's hard for them to hold on, or they
Okay.
can't. I mean, with a tubing hill, is once it stops and it starts going, that's where you get the accidents or people get hurt, because the little kids, once it stops and it goes forward, it jerks a little bit, their rubber, loop falls off, and that's when they go down the hill and people get, hit other people on tubes. Or a couple years ago, a girl hit her nose and just cracked her nose, and so it's just kind of liability, I mean, but it's. Tubing
That's why
outside
I'm
of it,
saying, probably bring our
that's,
liability insurance.
There's usually a few
Well,
broken
and,
bones.
you know, I guess I understand that, but I mean, $160,000 on a sports park that loses money year after year after year just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
I mean, even if it is grant money, it's still,
Right.
Well, you know, before she applies for the grant, she'll have to come before the commission to, of course, to apply for the grant, so.
And like, I mean, there's, to me, there's so much potential out there, because you have enough room for two more.
right. You know, I can-
That's the one I landed on by accident recently.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of people that enjoy the sports park, but it's just, we never, if we broke even on it, I wouldn't be having a problem with it. It seems like
We're getting closer.
Yeah, not really.
Well, and
$11,000 last year, it's gonna be close to that again this year.
it's something too that, you know, each year you guys talk about how much should the city spend on something that provides a service to the community and is fun for the
That's pretty much the
locals.
whole rec department though. You understand what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
mean, it's, and that's the way it's perceived in the public too.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people enjoy it, and I'm not knocking it, I
Yeah.
think it's a great thing, but somewhere there has to be a limit. And with our infrastructure falling apart the way it is, we gotta take a look at that. That's where my stand is on this. We've got so many issues with our roads and stuff in town that we need to address, and it's gonna be hard to explain why we would put the time and effort into going after a $160,000 carpet ride at the sports park when you got roads that are knocking the fillings out of people's teeth when they're driving down them. That's a hard sell to the taxpayers.
Fortunately, the funds you use for recreation and the funds you use for roads come from two different pools.
And I
Not
don't-
all of them. I
there's
mean, some of
never-
this money comes out of the general fund.
There's usually not money for
No,
filling
he's talking-
potholes. I've never seen a grant
Grants,
yet
he's
for
talking
that.
about grants.
Right. No, and I understand that, but still, you see what I'm saying?
No, I
How it's
completely get it.
perceived
We,
out
we
there.
fight that battle every day
You
too.
get that question.
It's hard to not progress and get grants for recreational things when they're available and they're low-hanging fruit and they build a community for us that is, you know, better than not having some things here versus,
But if it was making money, I could understand putting more
no,
money.
I understand that. I'm not arguing with you, I'm just pointing out that there's, no, I really wasn't. No, because we have this same conversation all the time.
Yeah.
We do.
We debate this all the time.
I know, we had the same conversation about it last year too, you know, but it's,
We have it every week on
When was the
Tuesday.
last time were the fees raised last year for any of the recreational facilities?
They were $10, not last year. I know they're
Year
year
before.
before. Yeah, $9. We raised them $12 for skiing. They were, I think, $8 for tubing. We raised
it's
them $10
$10.
for tubing. I mean, we have low rates. There's no
I know.
doubt about that. I mean, there's
Well,
twen-
I'm thinking based on, do you have a count on how many people utilize the facility?
we do. Yeah, I mean, we have record of that at the office and
and
everything.
it's all gonna depend on the weather. I mean,
Right.
This year was an exceptionally bad winter.
Right.
We tried to do that.
I mean,
Last year wasn't a very good winter.
Right, and the thing is though, like with the, you know, we lose money up there, yeah, we do lose money up there, but, you know, we have, I guess my thought is if you can get something that's free to get up there, that greatly reduces the wait time for people, that they can use the hill more often, and there's plenty of room up there to make two more runs between the fast run and the family run and the snake. I mean, there's
Well, you know,
potential up there.
right, and another thing, but the reason I'm asking about fees is, I think there might be potential to raise the fees.
Right, I mean,
If it's gonna be an upgraded facility with nicer
Yeah.
access
Right.
in
And,
it,
and that's just it, I mean, how are we in comparison?
well, you look at like,
We're low.
we look at
We're
Norway, it's
really
like,
low.
No.
it's like an hour, 2 hours for like $25. I mean, they charge a whole lot more.
yeah. So, you know, I mean, would it be
Right.
14, go to $15.
Right.
Someone's paying 12, they're gonna give you
$12
that,
for
they're
skiing,
gonna
$10
give the extra
for-
You go to a
five.
movie, you know,
It's ridiculous, yeah, I mean,
I mean,
yeah,
you're
but
paying
last Sunday it was
$15.
$50.
Yes.
Four
Right.
people.
Yeah, and not a,
That's an hour and a
I took
half.
my kid a couple of weekends ago, I think it cost us almost $30
For two
Yeah.
people.
to go to the
Yeah.
show, by the time you get your popcorn and your
Yeah.
pop, it's over $30.
That's an hour and 45
So, you know, I mean,
minutes,
the-
so, yeah.
With an upgraded facility, I would I would
Yeah, I
say
mean, there's
look
different
at,
ways
look
to do that,
at
'cause you
raising
Right.
fees. I mean, because that's a, people are paying for a service, so it's not
Well,
like you're
and
taxing
the
them.
people that enjoy it will pay it.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And
Even if we raised it a couple dollars and did it from 12 to 2 and 2 to 4 and 4 to 6, and, you know, because right now we do it 3-hour time blocks, you know.
Do like the
It's
ski
almost
hills
like
do. Do like at night, knock the rate down.
Yeah.
Right.
or
It's almost like that,
carload
that
day.
high rate, people look at it and that's when they complain, but if you do it, just do it. Yeah, so I mean, it does make sense, and we are really low compared to everybody else.
I know. I have.
It's almost like,
Right now, everything has gone up this year. I know. I mean, from purchasing, yeah, maintenance fees on everything, and I'm sure you've noticed it. I mean, people are right now might be a good time to do it because people are kind
They're
of
seeing it
used to
everywhere.
seeing it everywhere.
Right.
And if things stabilize out, and then all of a sudden you know what I mean?
yeah.
If you raise it like, well, everything's going up, so.
But I mean, for these school programs and that, I'd like to see that stay low.
Yeah.
Right?
That's-
Yes,
that's
yes.
definitely a
Yep.
benefit to these.
But I'm talking
kids.
hit the peak times like
Right.
during the day on Saturday,
Right.
just like the ski hills, peak rate.
Yep. And that's, we only have the tubing open on 12 to, Saturdays and Sundays from 12 to 6, so I mean, that's when, I mean, this year hasn't been very
No.
good,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
you can have 200 people up there on a Saturday from 12 to 3, you know, and it's just packed. I mean, you're right. I mean,
Is it something that you think if we put this thing in, that we couldn't utilize it during the week too, or?
I mean, it almost have to be how cost effective it is, because I mean, we would be open on Monday, Thursday, and Friday for the tubes, and there'd be 2 people over there, you know, and we'd have 2 workers over there. So we'd almost have to see how many people start.
Start using it.
I mean, on a Friday, I can see us opening up because Friday's is a little more busier than Monday or Thursday, you know. So we'd almost have to see.
See how the ball goes, right?
This doesn't have anything to do with the summer tubing that Nicole's talking about, but you'd still use this if you did open up.
Yeah, you would have to put a. You have to put a.
Slip and slide.
Like, almost like a slip and slide, yeah, yeah, down every run for the summer, you know. But that's something we can do in the future. I mean, right now, I would think that putting 2 more runs between the fast run or the family run and the snake. I mean, if we had 5 runs and we had the magic carpet, people would be coming up and down constantly. You know what I mean? So, I mean, it's the biggest complaint we have over there is just the wait times. I mean, people go down and they sit there for 3 hours and go down a dozen times.
But you still need 2 people. Do you utilize 2 staff over there on the tube run right now on tow rope?
During the weekends, we put 3 over there just
3?
because.
So when you're saying with this carpet, it would be 2? So you'd free up somebody?
Yeah, I mean, because you don't need somebody to hook up their
Right.
paddle up to it. You know what I mean? So they just get on the stuff and come. You don't need anybody on top to take them off. But
Right, just step off.
Step off. Yeah, exactly. So. Yeah,
But do you
we
even
can-
need 2?
The biggest thing is why we have 3 right now, because the one guy's up top and he tells people when to go down. Because if you don't tell them that, then they'll hit the next person after they stand up and they'll go, you know, so they hit themselves. So I mean, they hit them, you know.
That's what I'm saying. Would you even need anybody at the bottom?
Well,
You said somebody directing traffic
I
at the
think you
top?
got somebody down there in case something happened.
the thing is, though, we probably would have 2 just so for safety.
Safety.
Because if more people go down and, more people are using the hill, and then all the hills almost kind of, it's like a little bowl down there. So they almost go down in one spot. So you'd almost have to be down and make sure no one gets hurt or out of the way. So. All right.
Campground.
I think it's close to it.
Campground.
It's close to it.
Fun.
All right.
Didn't take much to get it.
Yeah.
Nothing's really changed for a campground, other than we made $145,000 this year.
What?
Nothing's really changed. Thanks, Jason.
Nothing's really changed for a campground.
Rolling in the dough at the
Yeah.
campground.
Yeah, other than we're at 145,000 so far this year.
That's how much you made at the campground this year?
A little over 145,000.
I just want to say that it's a really nice facility.
I
I
gotta
know
agree,
people
I could
that came
never
up and stayed
imagine
all
why
summer.
people would wanna go and camp
Yeah.
down there.
Yeah,
And it's half of Gladstone down there too, if you
But
go
you know,
down
my
there.
mother lives right here in town, and she loves it down there.
Yeah.
I go down there and see her down there, and it is really, really nice down
Yeah.
there.
Mm-hmm. It's like this hidden
And it's actually
gem.
nice because if you forget something, super valuable.
Right. You can just go home.
Or you can run home real quick.
and grab
I like
something.
to say it gives everybody a chance to live on the lake.
Yeah.
There you go.
I was surprised. It's really nice down there, and it amazes me at how hard it is to get in there if you want to go camping there.
Fourth of July is booked already.
Yeah.
She's
You
booked.
can't
She
Sold
was
out?
booked.
Yep.
I think Catherine
Last
J should put a bingo hall or something.
It's the campground host too.
Yeah.
That-
Yeah, we have a
Yeah, I
great
know
host.
them, they're not really easy to get along with.
No, they're mean.
You do have one, you have capital outlay in there this year, 25,000, is that for the, that's for the expansion?
We plan on putting
Chain.
6 new electric sites down there where the tent sites are.
What Nicole talked about the other night.
Right.
So that's where that shows
See,
up.
I don't have a problem with putting money into that if you're making.
It makes
that
money.
kind of you know
It
what I
makes
mean?
120,000
When you're looking the money
bucks.
in, put the money into it, it's,
Right.
you know.
That's either going to be covered, I have it in Dr. Mary Cretin's right now, although the DDA is talking about
I
covering
thought we
that.
had it in the.
Do they have a,
Mhm.
do they have a reserve fund for the campground?
No,
They don't, that
It
just
all
goes
goes
it
back,
just goes into the general
goes
fund.
back into the general?
The only problem the DDA had with it is that it is a fund that is making money, and their thought was that if it's making money, they should reinvest their own money, and then we could use the DDA money for more projects that would come out of the general, you know, to help offset the general funds.
Is it a part of the DDA district?
It is part of the district and it's in our plan, so it is something that is an allowable expense through our DDA, so. And it does bring a lot of value to the city, and the DDA respects that, but
Well,
there's
and-
just so many projects that we
and
want to do.
it
with
does
the
help
DDA.
them in their cause too, because everybody camping is coming downtown to
Yep,
buy
they
stuff.
do the events,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's for
sure. So there is
Like you
some,
said, forget something.
Right, on the.
it is
pass.
nice.
Go get ice cream. and
It
eat
would be
at
nice
the-
to free up some money in the DDA, because we have more projects this year than we have money. So we're gonna look at that a little deeper.
Also like to look at this a little bit, because Joe Lynn retired from the rec, and he worked a lot at the campground, and he is on MERS, and so some of that campground income revenue could be used to put towards the pension stabilization fund.
So that's good.
Yeah, definitely look at that too.
How, is he till he's 65, or is it a 10-year?
That's, you're talking healthcare, the pension is.
Oh,
He's defined
okay, I
benefit.
see what you're saying.
So how old is he and how healthy is he?
Who is that?
Joe.
Always comes back to that conversation.
He looked pretty good when he stopped by the
Yeah.
other day.
Yeah.
All the retirees look.
They just look bad when they work here.
Yeah, we look
Yeah,
rough.
they look like a.
Oh, you guys got it.
Yeah.
If you heard what we did today, you wouldn't think so.
Yeah, it was a pretty good lineup today.
All right, recreation program.
All right, rec programs. This year, we're gonna be giving our programs over to the Y. So we brought on the payroll from 3,200 to 1,000 for that. And then Jared Drown and Rick Elrod. Jared Drown he owns Terrace.
Oh.
Jared Drown.
I thought you said Jared Drown.
No.
I know, I'm like, what?
No,
That's what I
I
thought
hope
you
he's
said.
not
Jim.
I hope
I
he's
didn't
not
think we were
doing
on the
swimming
beach, but
lessons.
okay.
I was just saying, what does that have to do with the budget?
Who is it? What kind of program is
Nurse.
that? Oh, goodness.
Jared Drown.
Okay.
And Rick Elrod are doing, they do the paddle boarding and kayaking over in Escanaba, and we're bringing their stuff over here. We're gonna start to focus more on the water sports. And then, so the Y is gonna take over the programs, and that's where you see the contracted services, the $1,200, that's what we pay the Y. They'll use the current rec building right now for that.
What the $1,200 will do is, Gladstone residents will still get a reduced rate. So we are going to pay the YMCA for that reduced rate that Gladstone residents will be on.
Because the Y programs were more expensive than ours, and Nicole wanted to, if she gave up those services, to try to keep that cost as close to what we had as possible. And I think it would increase the cost by like $2 or $3 a summer for each kid. It was right close.
So what's 3,000 for material and supplies that went out?
Well, as far as I know, I gotta clarify this with Nicole, but I think, since we are gonna focus more on the water sports, we buy and stuff, more focus towards the waters that we don't have currently. And that's why she upped the materials and supplies, because
Like
The
jackets.
Initial investment.
yeah, 'cause we're getting away from, the program, so we're gonna focus more on the water sports, so I think she doubled that. And for the recreation programs, Mary Creedon's puts $4,000 into that too. So basically, it'll cost us the fee, what we pay the YMCA, what we're paying the YMCA for the programs. So it costs about $1,200 for that.
They do a good job. They run all the programs for the Rotary Club.
Yeah.
And they do, it's,
Oh,
we
yeah.
couldn't even staff it and train the people, and
Yeah.
so they
Yeah,
keep up
they
on
do
all
a
that.
wonderful job.
So.
And
it's-
people recognize that as a national, service program.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool for our community to have our local YMCA piece. Which little kids run around in YMCA shirts.
All right, is there anything else in the general fund?
We'll make those corrections, and we're gonna look at the Mary Creedon's money a little bit closer and try to keep the fund balance at 175,000, and put more into the right places, and then possibly take some for the pension stabilization.
I was saying it's close to 7.
Yeah, that's
I was gonna
what
say, I
mean,
think we
if
should
I
move.
just got a call from work, I gotta go
Right.
back to work.
I was gonna say, if we should move all the stuff that we were gonna talk about tonight.
Tomorrow night, 8 o'clock. Okay. Gals can have a great meeting.
Saturday.
No.
Let's do Saturday at 6 a.m.
We have that
Mondays.
At
yeah,
North-
North Shore.
North Shore.
Tuesday, was it Tuesday?
Tuesday, we're gonna try and have like a special meeting.
That,
Union
North Shore Development, for the SBEI grant.
No, that's at 3:30.
Yeah, at the Legion, that meeting's at 5.
I'm only thinking we need to get the packet prepared for the following Monday where it would be introduced.
Thank you,
Correct.
lovely assistant. You're
You
great.
treasurer?
I'm gonna take the day off and you can take over.
It's gonna be introduced at the last meeting in February?
That was gonna
Yep.
give us,
27.
yeah, so you could
You
have the
introduce it.
public, yeah, introduce it, and then you'd have the public hearing at the first meeting in March.
Okay.
Then if there was any public and you wanted to change something, you'd still have
Still have one
time
more meeting in March to be able
to
to
do that and
make
adopt.
any final adjustments.
But
Well,
you don't.
We do
Can we do
Have
it in
day
5
meeting?
minutes?
Day meetings are really hard for me because I'm already taking a bunch of days off to negotiate union contract.
Can we do it in 5 minutes?
Are you sure we can't do it in 5 minutes?
Tuesday.
I mean, if you guys
How about-
wanna do a day meeting, that's not a problem, I can go through this.
No,
and
no.
I can express any concerns I got.
No, how about Tuesday night?
Tuesday would be all right?
Terry wanted to have a special meeting
This Tuesday?
this Tuesday, but we could have the executive session. And then, could we do that?
Yeah,
At 3:30?
let's do that at 3:30.
And
And
then,
then-
We do
With
the
the full
executive
commission.
session at 3:30?
yeah,
With the full commission,
I can make
and then
3:30.
what time would work?
I have a 20-hour shutdown on Tuesday,
Oh.
another one on Wednesday, so.
So
I
we
could
guess-
That
probably
might
get-
not
I could
work.
probably
Let's get
out
Joe over
later,
here in the
but-
21th hour and
Yeah.
see what he looks like.
Yeah.
It looks like, he'll look like us.
Well,
Yeah.
But Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday aren't really great days for me. Tuesday, I could probably get here in the evening, but I wouldn't be able to get here at 3:30, that's for sure.
Well, could we communicate, it's just to go over the union, the Teamsters thing, could we communicate?
I already know what went on there.
is that just for the Teamsters?
I don't need to be there for that.
What were we gonna do, what was the, 'cause we had it for,
I know we got meetings.
we had it
scheduled
for,
in March for
at
that.
following the Monday meeting, but that was getting too late, so we tried to make it an earlier
Mhm.
evening one.
I just don't
And that
know
was the
when.
day that worked for Terry.
I thought when we left with the Teamsters last night, or yesterday, that we said it would be after the 27th. Isn't that what we told?
Then we're gonna get back to them after the 27th, yeah. But Terry did want to meet with the full commission before that, before we get back to them.
Well, if it's just on the Teamsters, you and I know what's going on there. I mean, we can still meet. You and I can, Eric, with him. You know, if Joe's got any concerns, he can express them.
Well,
We want to see
wanted
the full commission.
Yeah, not just the bargaining.
As long as we have a majority. Would you be able to make it, Jay?
On what day? Tuesday?
Tuesday?
October 21st.
Yeah, I suppose.
That sounded very committed.
Well, we can change the time to later.
Yeah.
Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday is fine with me. Monday and Friday or Monday.
Okay. I knew Wednesday was bad for Steve, and so it,
Thursday?
Yeah, I'm not available Wednesday at all.
I'm not available on Thursday.
so keep it at Tuesday as long as we can get 3 commissioners.
I think the big thing would be to get the 3 that aren't privy to what's going on. I mean, I'll be there.
Yep.
Joe can't make it, but as long as we can get the other 3 guys.
Could you do
Yeah.
it more at 4 o'clock than 3:30?
Yep. You want to go right from that one to budget meetings then?
I would say so. So
It's a
how
special
long?
meeting at
It shouldn't
4,
take us more
and
than
then
an
right
hour,
into
I'd
the
say.
last.
So how about Tuesday at 5?
Right.
5 to 7, and we'd be wrapped everything up.
That'll have everything
Yep.
taken care of.
The last part usually goes fairly.
Yeah.
These last ones go.
We'll schedule it for 2 hours. It may not take us that long.
You
Well,
want
do
the
the last
special
fund,
meeting
There's
at-
usually
There's usually
a
wrap-up
overall
discussion.
discussion.
Yeah.
Do you want the special meeting at 5 then?
5.
Then,
Special
I mean,
meeting?
They're
Or
both
your-
no.
No,
the
just
budget.
the budget workshop. at
Okay, how about going into executive session? What time do you want to do that?
4 o'clock.
4 o'clock? Okay. 4? Did you say 4? Did you say 4:30, Brad, or 4 is okay?
4 is fine.
4? Okay. I'll get that straightened out. I'm sure Terry has it wrong anyway, so I'll get it straightened out.
All right, if there's
Your
nothing
turn
else, we're adjourned.
That thing tomorrow, you said you were at 5:30.
Yep. Yep.